What my mother said to me was, Denzel, you do a lot of good, but you must do good the right. She said, and you know what I'm talking about. Can't buy your way in. Can't love your way in. You gotta serve. You gotta do good the right way. Stay on your knees. Watch me, but listen to God. Don't listen to me. I hope that the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart are pleasing in God's sight, but I'm human. I'm just like you. What I have will not keep me on this earth for one more day. Share what you know. Inspire who you can. Seek advice from, if you want to talk to someone, talk to the one that can do something about it. Constantly develop those habits. Here's a good one for me, slow to speak. We all got something that we're working on. I'm a work in progress, like anyone else, and take the tools that you're given. I never looked at things as problems. I look at them as opportunities. Maybe that's something I can say. You know, someone, well, she did this, and well, what an opportunity you have. Yeah, well, the world, because they said this, and Shannon said that. Yeah, well, what an opportunity you have to make a difference. Because you never know who's watching. But more importantly, you shouldn't do it to be seen. Pray about it. Whatever it is you're committed to, fight for it. What did you say? Fear is nothing but contaminated faith. Fear is nothing but contaminated faith. I ain't been lifting weights. So you got to lift them faith weights. You got to do your curls and your squats daily. You may get injured. You may want to throw them down. You may want to give up. You may never be big. You may never be big, but strengthen. I made a promise to her and to God to do, not just to do good the right way, but to honor my mother and my father by the way I live my life the rest of my days on this earth. I'm here to serve, to help, to provide. The ego's interesting. You just don't know. But in every prayer, all I hear is feed my sheep. That's what God wants me to do. I'm like, well, wait a minute. What's that mean? Well, what I found out in the last couple of years of hearing it, that there's all kinds of sheep. Strength, leadership, power, authority, guidance, patience are God's gift to us as men. We have to cherish that, not abuse it. I prayed this morning to be a better listener. It didn't work so well. We're human. You get back up. Yes, I've been high up on the mountain. I've been blessed, but that's a slippery slope, and it's lonely up there. People don't know that side of it. Life has humbled me. I used to say I wanted to be the best actor in the world. When I won the second Oscar, I said I wanted to be the best actor I could be. Now I don't even necessarily want to be an actor. It's not my goal anymore. It's not a burning desire for me. I may segue out of it in the next few years, if not sooner. None of that would have happened without the family. None of that would have happened. And not just my wife, but the love I give to my children and the love I give back. Coaching. I love to inspire. I like that. I like seeing people do well. It was so interesting I ended up becoming an actor because I've never been the out front guy. I like seeing people do good. Gifts. I've been blessed with money. Some have love, some have patience, some have kindness. The universal stems from the specific. Where's your soul? Where's your heart? Where does it start? Do you want credit for it, or do you want to see the other person do well? It's the most selfish thing I've done in my life is give, because of the joy that I get from it. I love it. I don't like it. I love it. We all have these ladders of battles, roads we have to walk in our given lives. Be you famous or whoever's out there listening. We all have our individual challenges. It's cliche, money don't make it better. It don't. Fame just magnifies the problems and the opportunities. The only thing I wrote on the cover of Training Day was the wages of sin is death. I had the end of that film changed. In order for me to justify living in the worst way, I had to die in the worst way. He died in a very small way in the script. But I purposely wanted him to be knocked down on the ground and crawl like a snake. I purposely wanted everyone in the community to turn on him I wanted him to die in the most violent way.
Well, I got run over by a truck in a triathlon in 1986 on the biking portion of the race. I broke 6 vertebrae in my spine, and I was told that I'd never walk again. The prognosis was I probably wouldn't walk again, and that the surgery was hopeful that it would give me some relief. And I think if it was any other patient, Louis, besides me, I probably would have recommended the surgery, but this was me. You know?
Sure.
And I just couldn't rush into it. So I had 4 opinions, from 4 of the leading surgeons in Southern California, and they were adamant that I needed this surgery.
All 4 of them.
All 4 of them. Anyway, I decided against the surgery, and I thought, well, listen, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not doing anything. I'm basically laying face down. And I thought, well, there's an intelligence that's giving us life, that's keeping our heart beating and digesting our food. It really knows how to heal way better than me. This innate intelligence is what's giving us life. And I thought, well, if it's an intelligence, it's a consciousness. And consciousness is awareness, and awareness is paying attention. So it must be paying attention to me. So I said, look, maybe I'll just spend the rest of my time trying to connect to this intelligence and give it a plan, give it a design, give it a template. And when I was really present and complete with that design, I would surrender this creation to this greater mind and allow it to do the healing for me. And the other thing I said is I'm not going to let any thought slip by my awareness that I don't want to experience. Now that sounds really easy, right? But when you're faced with crisis or trauma, we tend to focus on what we don't want to have happen instead of what we do want to have happen. So I started on this journey. I decided against the surgery, and it was a big revolution at the time. And I went through 6.5 weeks of hell. I just could not get my mind to do what I wanted to do, because I'd start reconstructing my vertebrae and imaging an outcome, and then I'd start thinking, I'm going to be living in a wheelchair, or should I sell my practice? So I'd start off reconstructing my spine, and then I'd be like, oh gosh, should I sell my practice? What if I live in a wheelchair? So I couldn't get my mind to do what I wanted to do. And then after 6 weeks, I just went through the whole thing. I felt like I hit a golf ball right in the sweet spot. Something clicked. And from that point forward, what took me 2.5 or 3 hours to do, I was able to do in 45 minutes. I was firing and wiring, these new circuits, and I was practicing paying attention. And then all of a sudden, I started noticing dramatic changes in my health like this. And the moment I started noticing changes in my body, what was going on outside of me, I started correlating at what I was doing inside of me. Now I was just hooked, and I just started doing it with more passion and more sincerity. Anyway, back on my feet in 10.5 weeks, back training at 12 weeks. You start reacting emotionally. Emotions are a record of the past. And if those emotions are driving your thoughts, you're thinking in the past. And if you can't think greater than how you feel, and you believe your thoughts have something to do with your destiny, you're creating more of your past, right? So it turns out that the repetition of thinking and feeling and feeling and thinking, these loops that people get caught in, condition their body to subconsciously become the mind of that emotion. Which means now their body, as their unconscious mind, is believing they're living in the same past experience 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. What's the relevance behind that? Well, the latest research on genes says genes don't create disease. It's the environment that signals the gene that creates disease. But if you're reacting emotionally to your environment the same way, you're signaling the same gene in the same way, and now you're headed for a genetic destiny. So the hormones of stress push the genetic buttons that create disease. If you can turn on the stress response just by thought alone, your thoughts can make you sick. And if your thoughts can make you sick, is it possible that your thoughts can make you well? So they began to realize that, oh my God, the repetition of thinking and feeling and feeling and thinking caused me to feel guilt, and I don't even know it's guilt, it just feels like me. It's just, I'm used to the same chemical continuity. Now, the moment they decided to change, anytime you decide to change and change anything about yourself, get ready, because it's going to feel uncomfortable.
It's going to hurt.
You're going to leave the known.
Yeah.
You're going to leave the familiar, and you're going to step into the unknown. Some people are super happy being unhappy.
Right.
So then they would rather cling to their suffering than take a chance in possibility. So these people said, I really have nothing to lose, right? So then they said, I'm willing to be uncomfortable and be in the unknown. And it turns out that's the perfect place to create from. To change is to be greater than the body. Okay, so now that I know that I got to break the habit of being myself, and I can't mismanage my thoughts and feelings, I got to change how I act, I got to watch how I speak, I got to become conscious of how unconscious I am, because 95% of who we are by the time we're 35 years old It's a set of memorized behaviors, like a computer program, emotional reactions, unconscious beliefs and perceptions. So the first step to change is to become conscious of how you think, to notice how you act, to pay attention to how you feel.
The mind is a vast space with many different areas. So if you think one area of the mind is happy, joy, sad, food, sex, photography, money, different areas of the mind. And awareness is a glowing ball of light, an orb, and you are pure awareness. You're traveling to different areas of the mind. And wherever awareness goes in the mind, it lights up that area and you become conscious of it. So if awareness goes to the anger area of the mind, it lights up that area and you all of a sudden go, oh, I'm angry. But what you should be saying is, I'm in a place in the mind called anger. I chose to be here. As easily I can remove myself from here and move to another area of the mind. And I give the analogy of a mansion. So imagine a mansion with 100 rooms, and every room is a different state of mind or area of the mind. So one room is anger, one room's happiness, one room's jealousy. I walk in the mansion, I'm pure awareness. I climb up the stairs, walk down the hallway, I open the door, I go into the angry room, and I close the door behind me. And I am in rage. I come out of the room, I walk down the hallway, I open another room, I enter that room, I'm in the room of happiness. And once you realize that you're not the mind, rather your awareness moving within the mind, now you have a choice every day to either choose where you want to go or allow your environment, the people and things around you, to dictate where you want to go. Because if I told you to wake up tomorrow morning and meditate and do yoga and breathe, you're going to go like, I don't have time for this, right? But every day you have a cup of coffee. Every day you sit in front of your computer. Every day you talk to somebody. What if you brought those tools into your daily rituals, those mundane little things? Now your whole day becomes a practice. And by the time you go to bed, you've been practicing for 10 hours, developing willpower, practicing focus, and all these other things, managing your energy. And that's a much better approach than to wake up in the morning, meditate for half an hour, and then spend the remaining 15 hours running around like a head-cut chicken, and thinking, okay, I did my morning meditation, I had my matcha, or whatever you had to drink, and then the rest of the day you just go crazy. That doesn't help. Focus is my ability to keep my awareness on you without it wavering. So if I'm talking to you and my ball of light drifts away, I'm getting distracted. If I can keep my ball of light, my awareness on you the entire time, I'm in a state of focus. So most people are always physically present. We're physically present with each other, but mentally absent. If you look at the mind in a simplified way, you could look at it as a 3-story building. The bottom floor is the conscious mind, the external mind, where it's tied to our 5 senses and it's the world we live in, phone calls and emails and everything. The second floor is the subconscious. It's the storehouse of memory, information, habit patterns. And then the third floor is the superconscious mind. It's the source of intuition, creativity, higher spiritual minded things. Only through a focused state can you take your ball of light from the first floor, through the second floor, to the third floor. So the combination of knowing what you want and having that intense desire for it helps you to get there. So most people don't really know what they want and then don't really have a desire for it. They try and then they give up. But you have to want it more than life itself. And that's what I see in some of the most successful entrepreneurs and athletes. They want that and they're willing to do whatever it takes to get it. So the simple way to manage energy, I would say, take every principle you know on finance, on how you manage money, and apply it to energy. Create a budget. When was the last time we evaluated the people in our lives that we give energy to? We don't even do it once a year. Every year around November, December, I have a list of all the people I'm actively involved with, and I assign statuses to them and how much energy I'm giving. Because I have a finite amount of energy. Then I reallocate energy. So if Steve has been about time management, it's about managing energy. I could spend 5 minutes with you, and if I'm completely focused, you get all my energy in that 5 minutes. Or I can spend half an hour with you, and my ball of light's all over the place, and that's where my energy is going. And in that half an hour, you only get a tiny piece of energy. That's why, for me, focus is so important, because when I focus, that's where my awareness is going, And that's why my energy is flowing. Where awareness, every time my awareness goes to you, Cody, my energy flows to you, and I'm building an energy connection.
Yeah.
The fastest way to get rid of somebody in your life is to stop letting your ball of light go to them. Because imagine if my ball of light's a watering can, and the water in the watering can is energy. Every time my ball of light goes to you, I'm watering my connection with you. And I'm building that energy connection with you. So if I want to get rid of somebody in my life, I just move my ball of light away from them. They no longer get energy, and it just starts to wither away and go away.